Hello, friends. Welcome to Josiah Venture Stories. You will hear incredible stories of life change from the mission field and be inspired by the movement of God in Central and Eastern Europe. I'm your host, Gwen Gardner, and I am so excited to share today's conversation with you. Today on the show is Shelby Halsa Flowers. She first traveled to the Czech Republic in 2010 as part of a mission team serving at one of the very first Fusion camps. She was immediately inspired by the way Fusion connects young people to the gospel through music, and she never looked back. After serving 2 summers as an intern, Shelby moved to Ostrava and has lived there serving locally and internationally since 2014. In 2018, she became the director of Fusion International and has helped to establish and support Fusion choirs across 11 countries. She and her Czech husband, Radek, got married in 2013 and served together in their local church in Ostrava. Shelby, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Great to be back.
I know, I should say, welcome to the show again. It's so fun. I looked that up, Shelby. You were episode 15.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Back in, and that was released October 19th, 2021.
Wow.
Can you believe it?
And what episode number is this?
Oh, this is episode 153.
Oh my.
I know. Oh my. Yeah, that episode is called Using Music as a Tool to Build Relationships with Shelby Flowers. But now I'm going to have to use a different name, Shelby. What has happened in your life since 2021?
Well, 2 years after that, in 2023, I got married to my dear Czech husband, Radek. So that's why my last name is a little complicated. Decided to keep the flowers. So it's Hlavsa Flowers. And if you say it really fast, it sounds kind of like lots of flowers. So you can go with that.
Yeah. You became Shelby Flowers to Shelby Lots of Flowers.
Yes.
Yeah. I like that. I was at your wedding. That was an amazing party. And it's just been so fun to see how God has brought you a Czech husband.
Yes, it has been an amazing journey serving as a single for 9 years and then getting married on the field. So God is good.
Wow. God is good. And oh my gosh, I have served with JV for 14 years almost, and I'm about to get married.
Yes.
So I'm going to be one of those, the same, like single missionary turned married lady.
Yep.
So
Yep.
It's happening. Well, if you want to hear more of Shelby's, backstory, origin story to Josiah Venture, you can go check out, episode 15. But we want to talk more about what's happening now, current life. But before we get into business, Shelby, what's something that just is like bringing you lots of joy right now in your current season of life?
As I reflected on that question a little bit, I was thinking about how one thing I've kind of learned or like still been learning on the mission field in particular and in full-time ministry is how to appreciate different seasons of life. So there's a time for travel and there's a time for rest. And I think I've been really able to appreciate leaning into those different things. So I'm very grateful right now for this current season because I have been able to be at home for the past month. So a lot of my role is traveling.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. That's huge. A lot of my role is traveling around, typically around all the Josiah Venture countries in Central and Eastern Europe. And I love traveling. But the whole month of February and the first few days of March, I've been able to be mostly in Ostrava, my home city here. And that has just been amazing to get into a little bit of rhythms, be with my husband, engage a lot with our local ministry. So that has been really joyful for me.
Yes, that's great. I love that you've had some time. Even some people listening might be like, just a month?
I know.
Yes.
Yes.
That's rare.
Just to kind of demonstrate the contrast, in January, I was in Ukraine, Poland, and Albania. So I was gone for a lot of that month. It was really great. Those were amazing trips. And I'd love to tell you more sometime, Gwen. But
off the record. No.
But that's kind of my normal life, even being married. Sometimes I get to travel together with Radek, and sometimes we kind of do our own thing for a bit and then come back together, and it's always really fun and really adventurous. Mm-hmm. But I've been able to actually be a little bit more stable the past few weeks, and that's been just a gift.
Yeah, totally. And I love how Radek supports you 100% in all you're doing. So
sometimes I refer to him as my housewife.
Yeah.
he keeps everything. Actually, I came back from a trip in January and he had baked bread.
Oh.
So
wow.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Amazing. That is amazing. Okay, well, Shelby, we're going to jump into the fusion world because I feel like for the listeners, we do talk about fusion quite a bit as it's one of our evangelistic highways. But what is fusion? Let's give the people a refresher on what is fusion.
Yeah, well, kind of our tagline has been that fusion is a relational ministry that uses music as a tool. So fusion is more about relationships and community than anything else, but we just use music as the tool through which to reach the young people. So, and fusion is basically like a choir and a band group that has a weekly rehearsal during the year. And that rehearsal includes games and singing, of course, the rehearsal aspect of practicing, singing everything, all the parts in the choir, playing instruments, but it also includes a short devotion time where we share the gospel, we share about topics that are relevant to the teenagers. It's an outreach ministry, so we're always inviting youth from outside the church, oftentimes through school promo. But our long-term hope is to connect young people to the church and see them discipled and equipped as leaders. And I like how fusion really goes along with the core of Josiah Venture's mission and vision. We're really closely connected and integrated into the local church. And we really want to equip young leaders and share the gospel through fusion. So I think it is one of the best ministries, and I'm not biased. I am biased. But.
Yeah. You are. I know.
That was a joke.
Me too, because yeah, that was a joke. What? Huh? No, because I also did fusion, and that's where we even met. Shelby was back in 2012, the very first fusion camp in Slovenia. It was my first summer full-time missionary. You were a fusion intern. Wow. But it's just amazing to even think back to then and think back or to reflect on where things are now, are at now with fusion. And I was so blessed to be a part of fusion all those years. And it truly is a relational ministry. The relationships do come first. And then it's but we're also learning all these songs and doing all this music. But it's so much fun. And I have a fun fusion question for you. At every fusion rehearsal, it always starts with a warm up. Do you have warm up your voice? Do you have a favorite fusion warm up that you like?
Well, I go through seasons, speaking of seasons, but I really like the one that goes, Johnny has a head like a ping pong ball, because you sing it to a well-known classical music tune. So
Johnny has a head like a ping pong ball.
Exactly, that one. And then everybody jumps up and down like a ping pong ball. Usually teenagers don't really like that one, so I torture them with it. But it's fun.
Oh, good. Sometimes it's fun to torture the youth.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Well, as fusion has been a minute, when did fusion started in? Was it 2009?
Yes, officially started in 2009. And I came, well, as you heard in my bio at the beginning, perhaps, I came to the Czech Republic for the first time as a missions team member in 2010.
Okay. Yes.
So it was 2009, and then 2010 was my first experience. And then it continued to expand after that.
Right. So then how have you seen fusion grow, change, evolve?
Yeah.
Since you have been with Josiah Venture?
Well, I got to move to the Czech Republic and join the Ministry of Fusion and Fusion International in 2014. And that was kind of an interesting time because at that time, the Fusion International team, which I was a part of, was traveling a lot and starting to launch fusion choirs in multiple countries. So I was able to actually help expand fusion from the Czech Republic and Latvia into 9 other countries in my time here with Josiah Venture.
Wow.
Our peak of the ministry in terms of number of choirs and number of people involved, the peak was in 2019. So there were a lot of choirs, a lot of people in 2019, and we all know what happened in 2020, COVID, which kind of obviously thwarted the idea of people getting together and singing. So all of our ministries, globally, every ministry kind of took a nosedive.
Right.
And since then, I would say at first, I guess a lot of us thought we would kind of be able to build up the ministry back to its former glory, but also things have changed a bit. So in the past few years, we've seen that the numbers of fusion choirs and fusion teenagers haven't been quite as high. At the same time, we see a lot of choirs that are extremely fruitful and that have lasted for years and even survived COVID and then continued to thrive after that. So it's a very fruitful ministry, but it's also a pretty challenging ministry for local churches. And a lot of the countries that we work in as Josiah Venture have very small churches, and it's hard for small churches with a small amount of leaders to run this ministry over time. So there's a lot of pros and cons of this ministry because it's super fruitful when it's working and when it's healthy and when the church is healthy. And honestly, we see so many young people give their lives to Christ through fusion and then get baptized, become members of the local church, become leaders in the local church, become fusion leaders, even become fusion national leaders. We have several stories of how that's happened. So it's really amazing, but it's a difficult ministry for churches to do. So I would say we've seen it evolve in a variety of ways, but one thing that has stayed the same throughout are the 5 core values of fusion. And those are Christ, church, community, culture, and creativity. So those have stayed the same throughout the whole time that fusion has been in existence. So while we've tried to kind of maybe simplify some things or modernize some things or make some parts of fusion more relevant to certain cultures or churches or communities, those things have stayed the same. So it's been cool to see what stayed consistent about fusion. And you know what we have realized, or actually what I have realized thinking about fusion and wondering if at some point it'll stop being relevant. But I realized that, music is always going to be relevant for teenagers. So as long as we're doing some kind of music or singing some kind of songs that they actually enjoy, there's a lot about this ministry that is timeless. So I'm curious to see how God continues to use it.
Yes, for sure. And yeah, thank you for sharing that. It's the ups and downs, especially with COVID. And I was a part of the Fusion Cellier group in Slovenia then, and we had to get creative. It was how do we meet as a choir when we all have to be home? And we did music videos. You have to constantly be creative, be innovative, especially when a global pandemic happens. But I like what you just said of music is always going to connect people. And that's one of the things I always loved going into schools and promoting a fusion camp. We would go into schools and say, raise your hand if you like music. Everyone raises their hand because everyone's listening to something, So what do you think it is about music that really does connect people?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we've all heard most of the cliches, but they're all true. I mean, that music is a language. That was, the experience that first caused me to even consider being a missionary. My first fusion camp in the Czech Republic, when I came just to kind of hope that I could maybe share the gospel with someone. And I found that even though I couldn't speak any Czech at that time, and a lot of the teenagers at that time couldn't speak English, I could really build a relationship with them and even build trust with them through teaching them music. And that was just like so powerful. And I just continue to have international experiences that confirm that music is really like a language. And in some ways, music can expedite relationship building and trust building because it gives us that other kind of tangible thing to do together where we don't need to be able to speak each other's language fluently. And it's an activity that I just think because most people like expressing themselves somehow through music or find some kind of emotional outlet in music, it's just going to be a connecting point across cultures and generations.
Yeah, and especially in a cross-cultural setting. I like what you said too of maybe I didn't really speak Czech when I first moved, and so music is its own language. That's really good. So right now, Shelby, how many countries have fusion? And just give like a broad stroke of like fusions overall right now.
Yeah, it's constantly changing, so that's always a good question.
Yes.
Currently, there's 11 countries that are doing something with music and arts. So in Josiah Venture, and I'm sure we'll talk about this in a little bit, but Fusion is our specific program or tool that we use, but we're trying to develop other programs and tools as well, kind of under the music and arts umbrella. So right now, there's already been a little bit of a shift towards some countries trying other creative ideas or music projects that aren't exactly the program of Fusion. So right now, 11 countries are doing something either connected to Fusion or kind of like Fusion. And 6 countries, I can tell you exactly what they are because I have them written down. Latvia, Czech, Poland, Slovenia, Ukraine, and Romania are the 6 countries in Josiah Venture that have official Fusion choirs right now. And then 5 other countries either have had Fusion and are kind of working on starting it again, or they have something like a smaller version of Fusion, a Fusion Light choir, or something like that. So, and overall there's around 22 Fusion choirs right now. But that number kind of goes up and down as some choirs kind of take a break or another choir launches. There was a recent Fusion launch in Ukraine a couple months ago. It was really exciting. So it's always fluctuating, which is cool and challenging.
Yes. And you're there to encourage all of those Fusion country leaders and all of that. So what have you heard from the country leaders about even like using music to build relationships? Like, have you heard some cool stories that have been happening in local fusions? Like, I know you just mentioned the new one launching in Lviv, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So I would just like any stories you're hearing from these country leaders too.
Yeah, for sure. There's always stories, 100%. And I would say one thing that was impactful for me was going to Ukraine in January of this year and helping them lead kind of a fusion event called Creative Campus. We've done that event internationally a few times, and Ukraine decided to host their own. And I was just really inspired by talking to a lot of teenagers personally during that event. And I would say the coolest story for me was talking to this girl from Kharkiv, a city in Ukraine in the east, that has done fusion kind of on a smaller scale because they don't have very many leaders who have stayed throughout the war in that city. But they've continued doing some kind of fusion all throughout the war. And I met one girl from Kharkiv at this Creative Campus event in Lviv in Ukraine. And she was just sharing with me how she just started coming to fusion because one of her friends invited her. And now it's like her whole life. Like that's what she loves doing. She learned how to play instruments through fusion. Now she plays electric guitar every day. She has her own electric guitar. And it's like music and fusion. She's not a Christian yet, but music and fusion are what are really keeping her grounded, like living in this crazy, challenging place and city in the midst of war. So that was really inspiring to me to talk to someone who, isn't even a believer yet, but fusion has made a huge impact in her life. Yeah. And there's always more stories. So I actually have a story that I was going to maybe share that's a little bit connected to Fusion Dairy. So maybe we'll get to that at some point.
Yes, because I do want to talk about Fusion Dairy. Let's talk about it right now.
Okay.
So, let's do it. Fusion Dairy is this year. Okay, background of Fusion Dairy. What is Fusion Dairy?
Yeah.
The history of this event. Why do we put on this crazy thing called Fusion Dairy?
Yes. What is Fusion Dairy? Fusion Dairy is now an international fusion festival where all the fusion choirs from around Europe, so from all those countries I mentioned, gather together and perform for each other. And the festival takes place over a weekend and also includes main programs, seminars, country time, alternative programs, games, and kind of everything you would expect. And I actually confirmed today, just to make sure, that the first ever Fusion Dairy happened in 2011, just with people from the Czech Republic. So the first official international Fusion Dairy wasn't until 2016, where more countries were invited to be a part of it. And it's a really big event, and
That's Slovenia. Slovenia was the first non-Czech country.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Gwen was there.
I was there.
So it's a really big event. It's a lot of work to put on. So sometimes teenagers ask me, like, why don't we do Fusion Dairy every year? But we do it usually once every 3 years. Just because it's just a lot of work, and we don't have people who are working on this event full time. We have volunteers and people who are just helping kind of as part of their role, usually not their main role. So I'm really thankful for the support of other Josiah Venture people and even people outside of Josiah Venture helping us be able to run this event. But obviously one of our goals with Fusion Dairy is to share the gospel clearly and also provide a lot of follow-up materials, which then Fusions can keep using, keep having conversations after the event. So we've seen a lot of fruit come out of Fusion Dairy and also a lot of fun international collaboration. It's really inspiring for the Fusions to get together to see what other Fusions are doing. And it's even brought together people in romantic relationships from different countries. So you never know what the side effects are going to be.
Oh, my love blooming in the midst of Fusion Dairy.
Relational ministry, Gwen. Relational ministry.
Yes. Relational ministry. Yeah, Fusion Dairy is always so much fun. Yes, a lot of work, but it really is fruitful as well. And one of the things that I always enjoyed about like bringing the choirs from Slovenia is the inspiration piece of like seeing Fusion Ukraine perform and Fusion Albania, Fusion Poland, and just that camaraderie that comes with like, other people are doing this too from other countries and friendships form and all of that. So it's a beautiful thing. And to say, we would always tell our students, like, we're not here to compare. We're not comparing how we're doing versus how some other choir is doing. It's more like, let's be inspired by what's happening in, because our choir would always be like, we're not as big as that choir, or, it's like, okay, no, we're not comparing. We are being inspired.
Yes.
So in every Fusion Dairy has a theme. So what's the theme for this year?
The theme for this year is Dare. And that actually came out of a lot of research and thought. So earlier last year, it's already 2026, we shared a survey with all the Fusion students that we could. And we were asking them, what are the most relevant topics and questions that you have right now? What are the topics you're interested in? What are the questions you're asking? And usually for teenagers, the answer is always the same, because it's usually pretty connected to their developmental phase. And it's always about relationships, how to navigate relationships, how to navigate friendships, conflict, identity, something like that. So I expected that to be kind of the survey results. But this time, the number one topic that teenagers are interested in, like going deeper into, is the topic of the future and kind of this overwhelming question of what is the future going to be like, and anxiety and fear and a lot of negative emotions connected to the future. And I think, yeah, it's obvious as we look at the world around us, there's a lot of instability and craziness, and increasingly so. So we decided as a core team for Fusion Dairy that we would like to challenge teenagers to take a small step in order to kind of challenge themselves to start to gain a little more confidence or hope about the future. And ultimately, we want them to take a step towards the ultimate love and hope that God gives us through believing in Him, to dare teenagers to believe that God is with them, to dare them to trust and to open up. And so I'm really excited to see how this theme plays out throughout the festival. It won't just be something we talk about during the main programs, but we're using it as the foundation for seminars and fun activities throughout the festival that the teenagers will engage with. So, yeah, I hope that a lot of people who come to Fusion Dairy will begin to, maybe feel a little less anxious about their future and about the future as they take steps towards believing that God has a plan and that true hope comes from Him.
That's good. Like, I dare you to believe, I dare you to hope, to trust. Yep. And yeah, that's really good. How has the planning process been for you this time around? And like, have you seen signups? Like, what are you expecting turnout wise for Fusion Dairy?
Yeah, well, we're really hoping for over 500 people to attend Fusion Dairy. And we have about 400 people signed up right now. Yeah, that's something that we're praying about. We would love to see a few more people sign up and also more volunteers. We really need some more volunteers to help with this event. But yeah, the process has been going really well this time. I'm really thankful for the team. We have a lot of people who bring a lot of experience helping with previous Fusion Dairies and big events, and then some people that are learning more for the first time. But it's an equipping event, and that's one thing that I always like to keep in mind. Like, it's not just a bunch of professionals. None of us are really big event professionals, but it's more about equipping people through this event. So, yeah, challenging people, daring people to help with this event.
Yeah. Ooh, that's good. I like what he did there.
It all connects.
Daring people. It all connects. It really does. So I know you mentioned some even prayer requests within what you just said, but how are you specifically praying for this event, and how inviting others to join you in praying for Fusion Dairy?
Yeah. As I shared, it would be great if people could pray just for more people to register, to sign up. I think maybe some teenagers are a little nervous about traveling far to get to Fusion Dairy and that kind of thing, or if they haven't experienced it before, maybe there's questions as to what it's going to look like. So just, praying for boldness and for leaders to encourage more teenagers to sign up, more volunteers, as I mentioned, and also, pray for the team, pray for emotional, mental, spiritual, physical health and protection. They're giving a lot of energy to this. And as I shared earlier, we don't have like a paid team of people like where it's their full-time role to plan this event. Even though like the event could justify that, it's a really big event. And sometimes with these types of events, there are full-time people. So I'm just really thankful for the generosity of the team and their heart for Fusion Dairy and reaching young people with the gospel. And of course, one of the prayer requests is just that the gospel would be clearly shared at Fusion Dairy, that many young people would respond to the gospel, and also that Jesus would just meet people where they are. We know that we can put on a great festival and have some good talks on the main stage, but really it's about a personal encounter with Jesus. So that's what we're praying for in the context of Fusion Dairy.
Yeah. Even thinking through all those Bible verses that talk about singing to the Lord and for these young people to not just sing to be in the choir, but to one day sing for Jesus and to sing for the Lord. Yeah. That's really good. I'm excited for this event. I'll be praying for sure for more volunteers, for all the people leading this event. I know it's a really big undertaking and it's exciting. It's exciting to think and dream about what God's going to do through all these individuals who are coming. And your local fusion that you're a part of will be there, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. How is your local fusion going that you've been a part of for a long time?
Great. I typically say that really the main reason I'm here and living in Czech is because I get to be a part of my local fusion every week and see how teenagers in my city are finding community and finding Christ through fusion. So it's really impactful to be able to experience that firsthand. And it's one of my biggest joys. We have a lot of young teenagers attending our fusion right now, like 13 through 15-year-olds. And so there's a lot of fun, fresh energy. A lot of them are from outside the church and are not believers, but I'm just really inspired by their openness. A couple weeks ago, we had a discussion group that I was leading. It was about 6 teenagers, few girls, couple of guys. And I just asked them the question, have you ever prayed or reached out to God when you felt lonely? And every single person really openly answered that question. A couple of people in my group are Christians and have a relationship with Jesus, but the majority don't. And they all said that they have tried to pray and that they do want to connect with God. And I just left that rehearsal feeling just inspired that we are able to work with people who are so open to even having spiritual conversations. And I'm excited to see what God continues to do. Yeah, in our hearts. We started a couple Bible studies recently with some of the young girls who have become believers recently. So yeah, it's really exciting.
Wow, that's so cool. Fusion Troika, right?
Yeah, that's the name of our fusion. Yeah,
Yes,
and
the
actually,
fusion.
one more cool conversation I had that ties back to Fusion Dairy. A couple weeks ago, I was talking with another young guy from our fusion. He's about to become a leader in our fusion. He's from a Christian family, but I was asking him like, hey, when was the moment that you really decided to give your life to Jesus and follow Jesus? And he said, well, it was at Fusion Dairy in 2023. And it was after one of the main talks. And there was a smaller group of people that went with the main speaker to another room and spent a little more time praying and having deeper conversations. And he was part of that. And so I was like, well, that's really cool. And I was asking him like, okay, so what advice do you have for us for this Fusion Dairy, like for the main talks? You know, what was impactful for you? And he was like, well, I don't think I'm the right person to ask. And I was like, well, of course you are. You just said you were really impacted by the main talk at Fusion Dairy. And he's like, well, yeah, but I don't remember anything that the speaker said. I just remember like God spoke to me. And so it was just such a cool moment for me of being reminded, like, first of all, this is why we do Fusion Dairy, so that people can have these experiences with Jesus. But also it's not about us. It's not about the festival. It's about providing this platform where God can speak and Jesus can meet young people where they are. So it all just kind of came together for me in that moment. And it really was motivating for me to continue working hard on planning this festival.
Yes. Yeah. He's always working behind the scenes and he's gonna move and he's gonna do what he's gonna do. And the Holy Spirit is the one to draw people. And yeah, that's a really cool story. I love that. I don't remember what the speaker said, but God was speaking. Like, encouragement to all speakers out there that God's moving.
Encouraging and humbling.
And humbling. That's right. That's right. It's not about us, right?
Nope.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Well, Shelby, thank you for sharing about Fusion Dairy, and that it's happening at the end of April. It's that last weekend.
Right? Last weekend in April.
Yeah, 24, 25, 26.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
So people can pray that weekend. Put something on your calendar. Pray for Fusion Dairy that weekend.
Thank you. Dare to pray.
I'll be praying. Dare to pray. Yes. Was there anything else, Shelby, that you wanted to share? Any music and arts in general events coming up, or besides Fusion Dairy? Fusion Dairy is the big one, but any other things you want to share here at the end?
There's always something, but I guess I would like to share for anyone listening. We're kind of at a cool moment with Fusion and Music and Arts Ministries where we're really in an innovative season of wanting to launch some smaller scale projects. As I mentioned before, Fusion is kind of a difficult ministry for churches, especially smaller churches with smaller teams to run. It's super fruitful. It's great. But we would love to be able to offer even more resources to churches. So right now, we're really working on innovating some new tools for churches in Central and Eastern Europe. So I hope maybe in, I don't know how many years, Gwen, but hopefully not too many years, I'll be on the podcast again talking about some of our new music and arts projects. Because it's exciting. Yeah, it's exciting what God is doing. And so that's another thing you can pray for wisdom as we kind of brainstorm some new tools, because we really want even more churches to be able to use music as a tool to reach young people.
And to use all those 5 core values of Fusion, of Christ, community, culture,
church,
creativity,
church.
Oh, yeah. Church and coffee is the unofficial one, right?
Yes, exactly.
Keep all those leaders awake. But for sure, yes, we continue to ask for prayer for this ministry. Pray for Shelby, as you're like the main director, right, of Fusion Dairy?
Yes.
Leading this whole thing. But you're an amazing leader in the sense of you delegate really well, and you, like you said earlier, you empower people, you bring people to raise them up to leadership level, and so that's what I've seen in your leadership, and so I know that it'll be a fun event.
Yep.
Well, thank you for being on the podcast again.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
You're welcome. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Josiah Venture Stories. For more information about who we are and our vision and mission, visit us at josiahventure.com and follow us on social media. If you have any questions about this episode or would like to get in touch with our guest, please email social@josiahventure.com. To help more people hear about this podcast, please leave us an honest written review or share this episode on your social media. Thank you, friends, and have a blessed day.